Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to finish up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's special selection comes at us from Nico, Coheed and Cambria, Ladders of Supremacy. This comes off of the 2022 Vaxxis 2 album, and where does it take place? Oh, towards the end. Track 11 out of 13. So, let's dive into this and see what Coheed is bringing to the table today. Lots of story building with this. It's ominous. Also, the electrical fuzz feels like electronic disturbance. Could be a digital thing. I'm pretty sure this takes place in a larger connected universe, so there's going to be a lot of context I'm missing here. Very cool, kicking it off with this triple attack here. Each of the guitars contributing a little bit of the whole. Drums are sounding crisp. Yeah, it's very distant harmony. So many points where it feels like we're building into the thing. I think we're finally here. Oh, that melodic drum work. Well, even that was building tension. Yeah, so many moments where it feels like the song proper is going to start and then it never does.
Oh, we've only got one chance at this. The severity unmerciful as the tension sits.
Love that harmony. Electric mod coming in from the drums.
So how we gonna handle this? When the punch lands, boy, it's all about how you fall. Go on, swallow your defeat.
So smooth.
Down, boy, see you now, clown boy. You got heart, but sorry, just ain't meant to be. Another one down the ladders of supremacy.
It has that, pick a single note and do a cool rhythm on it that we see in a lot of pop music. Just bringing that idea in here, I think it works so good, especially with that that very staccato delivery.
The time has come for us.
Walking all that energy back down.
All your chances burn to ash, the end's begun.
Sliding that vocal pitch into that guitar bend pitch, having them line up, so good. Yeah, and keeping that staccato vibe from the vocals, putting it into the guitar work here. kind of transitioning the song into wherever we're going next. Ooh. I was expecting a halftime feel based off that guitar, but full time. Maybe even a little bit more energy since we're getting a lot more snare work here.
So that's how it goes, 'cause who you are, take a look. You know, you never had a chance, you never had a chance to be
The lead guitars here playing around, the emphasized beat coming from everything else creates something very fun. More offbeat emphasis coming from the cymbal work off on the left.
matter how hard you wanna play, you always have one foot in the grave. You just wanna live, but you were born to lose, to lose. Now get up from the gravel and dust off of your shoulders. And now it's your chance to prove.
The digitized harmonies on that, real slick.
Up the ladders of their supremacy. Was it everything you had dreamed? Or did you make your mark? Or did you let them stand between you and everything?
For a second I thought that sound was like somewhere around me. It didn't sound like it was in the music. I feel like at this point, y'all are really trying to get me to just check out a full album by Coheed because every song you send me is just fantastic. Now, it might also just be that Coheed doesn't write a bad song. But I think other than, was it 2113, 2111? I remember it was a playoff of 2112. I don't remember what it was. But I remember that was like a bonus track that was like, I don't know, it was like a medley of a bunch of songs, a bunch of ideas from that album. That one kind of bounced off of me a little bit, particularly with the production and the wild leaps around ideas. Again, I think it was a medley, so you can't really get around that. But aside from that one track, everything that y'all have shown me has just been fantastic. And I've always liked, what's it called? Welcome Home. And that's a good song. But it wasn't anything that really stood out as something I needed more of. Coheed was never a band I went and listened to more of, despite my friend's insistence. I'm pretty sure it's his favorite band. But yeah, I mean, this track, if nothing else, tells me I need to check out Vaxxus 1 and 2 at least. Maybe not, maybe not necessarily the older stuff. I don't know, but they're definitely killing it right now. This song has everything I love in rock music. It's slightly progressive. It still sticks with an A-B structure. You'll find verses, you'll find choruses, you have a bridge breakdown, and we come back to a chorus to wrap the song up. They don't allow themselves to just rest on that, though. We have a rather extended 2-minute or so intro to this track, minute and a half, something like that. That is just a series of ideas. That was interesting. I think it does great at world building. I don't know that it does too much for this song in particular. It might make more sense lyrically and also in the context of the album, what track came before it, as this song does seem like it plays into the next track. I'm sure the previous one leads into this one too. And so that extended intro could be a bit more of an interlude between the songs, more than something dedicated to Ladders of Supremacy. Although, maybe once we hit the lyrics, it'll also make sense too. The intro is full of so many build-ups and breakdowns. It's just everything in there is like, okay, we're going to build up. Here's the energy build. You can see where we're going to deliver. And we're not going to go in that direction. We're actually going to take it down a little bit and build that intensity up once again. And now we're going to go in this direction, right? And we're going to cut that in half and start the build up again. And it was all these false starts. Every time it felt like we were going to finally go into that main section that this energy is building to, instead it gets cut down and we start the process over again. And that idea of restarting progress could be a central theme to the song. But what I found interesting too is that this buildup doesn't actually end up going anywhere bombastic. We cut the energy down again, and this is where the verse starts. And we have some drums, we have some guitar, and it's just kind of quiet. Not somber, but a little isolating compared to the multi-layered approach from the intro, especially with all the guitars bringing their own ideas to it and forming parts of a whole, which I thought was fantastic composition. Instead, we have a bunch of functional ideas here. We're getting rhythm and harmony and chord progression. That's it. Then the vocals come in on top of this. I'm like, oh, we're in the verse now. Okay. Kind of came out of nowhere, and the entire intro feels meaningless now. Not thematicless, just it doesn't adhere to traditional function. Usually we raise an intensity in order to reach a large point and a sort of resolution, a release of the energy we're building, and it just never does that. It just kind of dissipates everything that it works for to start over from scratch again. The themes of cycle are very strong in this intro. But through here we reach another build up. This one just a bit more involved as we get to experience it over a larger course of time. More and more instruments begin to come in until we hit what I think is a chorus. And here's what I think is really interesting is I don't know where the chorus begins. It almost feels like the verse and the chorus are two sides of the same coin, one a bit less developed than the other. And so there's definitely a point when we have so many ideas here, and he sings the line, something about this is the ladder of supremacy or something like that. And right after that, we bring the energy back down to just the chords, the atmosphere, the drums, back to the beginning of that verse. I'm like, okay, so here's the verse again. Somewhere in the next 40, 50, 60 bars, we're going to transition into the chorus again. I'm just not sure where that is because the transition is so smooth. The chorus is a part of the verse's build-up. I think the only way to really know is seeing the lyrics where we begin to repeat lines again, because musically it is just one concept. And maybe it's quite possible I get to the lyrics and it's just a stanza of verse, and then a stanza of verse, and then the bridge. There is no chorus, there's just a repeated final line. That's, I suppose, something that could happen as well. But musically, it's all connected. There is no clear dividing line, like in, modern metalcore, alternative metal, where we shift from something lighter to something very bombastic and catchy. The song just constantly has this smooth movement between ideas. And I like that. I think it's very cool. It's something you just don't hear too often. Usually a very clear notion of, hey, we've reached the chorus, whether that's the vocals becoming catchier or a main hook coming in or a massive spike in perceived volume or size. There's usually some way to know we've hit the chorus again, and they don't really lean into that at all, and I think that's very cool. Like I said, it allows for both of them to sort of be more interconnected than a lot of songs do with verses and choruses. Something that I want to touch on before we hit into the bridge is a variety of cool things with the instruments. I kind of already touched on this a little bit, but the beginning of the song starts off with three guitars playing three totally different ideas that interlock with each other exceptionally well. They play around each other's parts. When one instrument holds a note, another one it does have a moving line at this point, and it's just an intricate dance of these three instruments that feels like one cohesive idea, though it's really easy to hear them all in isolation. They're not really weakened by being heard by themselves, but you can feel the power of them when they work together. Masterful writing between the three of that. Um, as soon as we get the first bit of drums, I think it was the drum fill into the first verse, maybe. Um, it immediately kicks into some strong melodic drumming, and I love this. We got to hear quite a bit of this throughout the track. Occasionally, we do just lock into a very specific groove, like a one bar pattern, snare on 2 and 4, stuff like that. Very traditional groove behind a little bit of unique flourish. Maybe the cymbal work isn't traditional or something like that, but you're going to get a syncopated bass kick around an accented snare hit on 2 and 4, just a very basic groove. Like I said, the flourish might be a little different. But here at the beginning, the drum work was rather melodic, and I loved that. We got to hear little splashes of this throughout the song, particularly a bit at the beginning of the bridge as well, where it is a loop, like a 2 bar phrase maybe, but it's not there to present a groove. It feels like a melody, no different than what the guitars have been playing. And I'm a sucker for melodic drumming, and to hear that right off the bat just put me in a good mood already. So yeah, absolutely lovely stuff. The bass gets to do some pretty cool lines in here as well. Um, but I think what really stands out to me, aside from everything else, is the vocals. I expect Claudio, is that his name? I kind of figured it would be here, but it's not. Oh yeah, Claudio Sanchez. I kind of I know what his vocals are, right? I've heard quite a bit of tracks with him on vocals. I know what to expect. But I think more particular than anything else is the delivery of everything. I expect the range, but I expect a little bit of rawness to the range. Small imperfections in like holding on to tone. I think most of this is because I've only heard older things from Coheed. I don't think that I've heard a lot of stuff that's a bit more recent with a ton more experience with him doing his vocal work. It is just gorgeous here. He hits a tone and he's on it, you know? I'm sure there might be a little bit of pitch correction. Everybody uses a small dose of it these days, but it is night and day compared to listening to, mid 2010s Coheed or something like that. Um, he has a crispness to the vocals, and he also likes to play around with harmony here, which is something I don't recall hearing too much of in some of the other tracks. And again, I might be hyper focusing on much earlier Coheed here. But I love the use of harmony throughout this entire song. Basically, he has a really strong delivery to his vocals, but there's also a very it's not unique because it's very poppy. A lot of pop carryover here, but it's just a fantastic production on the vocals as well. Some of it, the digital side of it, but also him backing track and recording all the harmonies for some of these lines too. There is a performative side to the production that I think just it really elevates everything, and it makes this track feel so rich. And this comes from everything. There are a lot of vocal tracks in here, but there's also a lot of instrumental tracks. This is a very full, large production, and not something I expect from Coheed. I expect their proggier side to stick to composition and writing style and interjecting different styles of music into it outside of rock, not necessarily playing around with instrumentation and production and layers. It's starting to sound like Coheed's taken a bit more inspiration from the 70s prog sounds than the 90s, where bands like Dream Theater tended to keep a smaller palette but explored the compositional side of things. And I like that. I think that this era of Coheed just sounds fantastic. It's very rich, it's very full, it's very detailed. And it just sounds fantastic. And so going back to composition, this takes us into the bridge. I liked the bridge, but I don't understand the bridge. It sounds good to my ears. There's a lot of really cool ear candy moments in here. Again, leading back to that really strong production, which is why I wanted to touch on it first. But other than that, the song sort of stagnates here. And again, maybe a thematic reasoning for that. The song has been about growth everywhere, and usually your bridge is going to contrast what your verse and chorus have done. Well, if the rest of your song has been about growth of some sort, stagnating, not really doing anything different, kind of staying on a single wavelength for the entirety of the bridge is a great way to contrast that. Also, since the energy tends to remain high here, it does function as the peak, the climax of the song before we enter the end of it, and we kind of bring that energy down. But there's a lot of ideas in here that just don't seem to connect with anything else. And so this might just be a case where I need to give it a couple more listens, maybe understand the story of what's going on here to get everything to click. But that's what it is for me. It's a rather stagnant part. I thought it was cool to bring in a lot of the solo guitar work to get away from, well, especially the beginning. We kind of enter more into a djenty thing where we keep a rhythmic staccato idea going on, which we borrowed from the vocals in the chorus. That was a really neat transition into it. But it becomes very rhythmic focused for a while. And towards the end of it, we begin to bring in these guitars with these wide bends. Not necessarily melodic, but going for that bluesier, emotive style of playing. And I feel like the rest of the band picks up on this too and really runs with it. Where the bridge feels a bit lifeless and static, we enter into a more dynamic element coming back into that final chorus. And again, this could be the purpose of the bridge too, to create an opposition to the expansive soundscape that we had in the verse and chorus. But there's that one point, man, the guitar, much higher note, hits this high tone and bends half step up. And what starts as a bit dissonant turns into something very consonant. And the vocalist, after that guitarist hits the note, starts on that lower note and rises that half step and locks in place with it again. And we're not talking about octave distance. This is the same exact tone. It's impressive the vocalist does it at all, but it sounds fantastic as an echo or a delay off of that guitar line. And that was just amazing. I love that. And I think that's what the song really is to me. You ask me what the song is doing as a whole, I don't know. Like I said, it's going to take me a couple other listens, but there are so many moments that stuck with me in this track. That transition into the bridge, a couple of the intro ideas, and the way that they build up. I mean, first of all, the way the song starts, those three guitars, I can remember those very clearly. And that's what this song is. It's a bunch of highlights to me off of a first listen. And those are the ideas that are going to have me coming back, seeking them out as I ingest more of what the song's doing and begin to develop a stronger understanding of it. Let me hit some lyrics on this, see what's going on there, and then we're going to wrap this video up. Alright, on the surface level read here, we have the concept of danger, tension. Says we've only got one chance at this. The severity unmerciful as the tension sits. This entire opening, like 2.5 minutes of the song, is about building tension. So, says the world comes into view and our biggest fears have all come true. So how are we going to handle this? When the punch lands, it's about how you fall. So swallow your defeat and stay down, boy. You got heart, but it ain't meant to be. You're just another one down the ladders of supremacy. And this seems to bounce between two perspectives, possibly. One is of the main character-ish, who is in this tense situation. And the other is the antagonist, I'm going to assume, who defeats the protagonist and tells him just to not get back up. And so verse 2, once again, leans into some of these ideas. It says that we're watching things as they fall away. What could we have done? Maybe we have to accept all of this. The pre-chorus goes back to the other perspective. Swallow your defeat. And the chorus once again says, just stay down. The bridge is another antagonizing stanza. It says no matter how hard you want to play, you'll always have one foot in the grave. But there's a twist here. It says you were born to lose, so get up from the gravel and dust off your shoulders, because now it's your chance to prove. And the outro, what I thought was a chorus, and I think musically it still is a brand new stanza. It says, climbing up the ladders of supremacy, was it everything you had dreamed? Did you leave your mark? Did you let them stand between you and everything? Feels a bit more anthemic. This is a song about being the underdog, getting back up, and being more than people thought you would be. I think that matches a lot of what's going on in the music here. I mean, the tension at the beginning it's palpable. You can feel all of that. They're definitely in a bad situation, but I think even by the end of the song, it gets very groovy and maybe not feel good, but energizing in a way. And so you do feel this growth of sort of feeling beaten down, but, picking yourself back up. Now, according to Claudio, it says that this is a song where some characters were going into the lion's den. They said it's maximum security, fear, and chaos, and all this stuff starts happening around the main character. And so definitely captures that vibe of being somewhere very dangerous and having this high tension sitting all around you and trying to, get your way through a tough situation. And again, proving yourself. So I think it all works out. And that's something that I think I've consistently said about, especially later, Coheed, is that despite making rock operas, right? Well, space rock operas, I don't really know that the music is opera, but the story is very space opera. The music is rock. And putting those three together, I don't think signifies what I want to say about it. But, it sticks with a generally rock template. And regardless, a lot of these songs we've checked out, I'm picking up on what the lyrics are going to be about thematically, even within, just having listened to the music, the reaction, not picking up any lyrics at all. And I find it really impressive that there's so much thematic cohesion with such a small palette, never really expanding out to anything. We did have some strings in here, but they were really just stinger. It's flourish. It's not like they were adding anything beyond just this simple idea. So, like I said, it's impressive. I dig it. These are my thoughts. Coheed and Cambria's Ladders of Supremacy. What do you think of this track? Is there anything that stood out to you? Anything that you would like to add on to what I said or correct me on? Maybe you just want to give your general thoughts, opinions, and perspective on the track. Please put all that stuff down in the comments section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three of those. That wraps it up for today, but I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m., 10 p.m. UTC, as usual. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.